Si's getting excited because he's coming into his childhood station.
I'm more excited for the breakfast.
Oh yeah, got a McDonald's breakfast. Be good for me hangover.
Yum yum.
Welcome to London Liverpool Street Station, Simon's childhood station. Liverpool Street Station was Simon's main spotting place back in the 1980s with his father, seeing many diesel locomotives running in and out of the station. Nowadays it looks much different, only holding electric locomotives like 315s and 317s.
This is a West Royston train. We're just waiting for a red signal to clear. It shouldn't be too long.
So the big question is, what is our main purpose of our journey today? Old Oak Common was having their open day today on the 2nd of September 2017, and it was said to be the last open day before the Old Oak Common depot gets bulldozed down for other uses. The Old Oak Common depot is said to be reallocated for uses of storing the newer GWR locomotives. The depot will never be the same again after this. East Acton is our final location for finding Old Oak Common, and here we are at the East Acton Underground Station, which happens to be overground instead of underground. The locomotives that accommodate this station is that of the Central Line 1992 stock, which were built by British Rail Engineering Limited.
Yeah, so I think everyone's got the same idea as us. Come early. We must have walked at least a mile and we still ain't seen the end of it.
I reckon we could be up to more than a mile by the time we finish. I don't believe it, I absolutely don't believe it.
Oh, that's mad.
No.
This is like, I've never seen anything like this before.
Me and Simon got up extra early for this event to hopefully avoid queues. Unfortunately, it seems that everybody in London had the same idea as us. After queuing for a horrendous amount of time into Old Oak Common, we finally got to the event and looked around at some of the locomotives. These locomotives were all gathered together and visiting from all around the country just for this event. sheds and workshops were open for public viewing, and it was a rather satisfying sight to see all of this. The busyness of this event was unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Go on, Sophie, go on.
Great Western legends were lined up down the back of the main viewing area, as seen here with a King class, Class 42, 52, 50 and Class 43 HSTs. This shows the evolution of the Great Western Railway. 60163 Tornado is a mainline coal-fired steam locomotive built in Darlington, County Durham, England, completed in 2008. Tornado was the first such locomotive built in the United Kingdom since Evening Star, the last steam locomotive built by British Railways in 1960. It is the only example of LNER Peppercorn Class A1 locomotive in existence, the entirety of the original production batch having been scrapped without preservation. It was a new build project which began in 1994 and was at Darlington Works for most of the project, while numerous components such as the boiler were manufactured elsewhere. We have witnessed Tornado countless times before, the last time being the 24th and 25th of September 2016 at the Severn Valley Railway's Pacific Power Gala. Here she is seen powering up the bank from Bewdley towards Kidderminster. A while later she's seen again with a train bound for Bridgnorth. Crowds gather at Erdington to see the locomotive fly through the station with a train bound for Kidderminster. And on the Rake of Teaks, this really does highlight the LNER.
There it comes. Oh, that's it.
Time to hear that Gresley chuff in action as we hear Tornado battling up Erdington Bank towards Bridgnorth. Now back at present day Old Oak Common, we take a look inside the carriage sheds. As seen here are many of the Mark III coaches on display. The Class 50 is probably the most popular and iconic locomotive for the Great Western Railway. Every single operational Class 50 was gathered up on the event. However, you'll be lucky to get a decent photo of these locomotives with the amount of people getting in the way of the shots. The 50s started their life hauling express passenger trains on the non-electrified section of the West Coast Main Line between Crewe and Scotland, initially numbered D400 to D449, and known as English Electric Type 4s. The class were nicknamed Hoovers by rail enthusiasts because of the distinctive sound made by the dynamic braking resistor cooling fan arrangement, which was removed at refurbishment. Once the electrification was completed from Crewe to Glasgow, the locomotives were moved to the southwest of England to allow retirement of the remaining diesel hydraulic locomotives. No more than 3 Class 50s were in operation at the Mid-Norfolk Railway's Diesel Gala on the 2nd of April 2016. Here we are at the main headquarters of the railway at Dereham, watching 50017 Royal Oak head into the station. After this, a double header is formed of 50007 Hercules, aka Sir Edward Elgar, and 50050 Fearless. Now at Thaxton, the main place where trains pass each other on the line, we see the 250s depart with a train bound for Wyndham Abbey. The Class 50s were designed to haul express passenger trains at 100 miles per hour. They were built by English Electric at the Vulcan Foundry in Newton Le Willows between 1967 and 1968. Now back at Dereham later on in the day, the 350s then prepare to do a triple header for the last run of the day. 100 Class 35 Hymeks were built between 1961 and 1964. The West Somerset resident D7017 we last saw at the Mid-Norfolk Railway Diesel Gala in September 2016. The Class 35 is a class of mixed traffic BB diesel locomotive with hydraulic transmission. The class was developed for the western region of British Railways, which had opted for lightweight locomotives with hydraulic transmission. The locomotives were allocated to Bristol Bath Road, Cardiff Canton and Old Oak Common. None of the class was named. Withdrawal from service began in 1971 and was completed by 1975. Their early withdrawal was caused primarily by BR classifying the hydraulic transmission as non-standard. 4 examples survived into preservation. Now back to present day Old Oak Common, we start to look at some of the machinery involved in the workshops. Just outside of these workshops we noticed a 5-inch gauge Class 52 Western and warship to go along with it. British Rail assigned Class 52 to the class of 74 large Type 4 diesel hydraulic locomotives built for the western region of British Railways between 1961 and 1964. All were given 2-word names, the first word being Western, and alas, the type became known as Westerns. Now we start to take a look inside Old Oak Common's main locomotive workshops. The first locomotive you're gazed upon as you walk into these workshops is Class 41 prototype HST power car, which recently started pulling passenger trains back in 2016. Class 252 was initially the classification allocated to the prototype HST train. When originally built in 1972, the prototype high-speed train units were considered to be formed of 2 locomotives at either end of a rake of carriages. As a result, the power cars were designated Class 41 and numbered 41001 and 41002, while the carriages were given numbers in a new Mark III carriage number series. The 125 group restored prototype power car 41001 back to operational condition in 2013. This entailed a complete restoration of the vehicle and a fitment of the Paxman Valenta engine at Neville Hill TMD. The engine was successfully started in July 2013, and on 31st of May 2014, the loco moved under its own power for the first time in over 30 years. The 41 is now preserved and stored at the Great Central Railway in Nottingham. Here we are at Thaxton, the main point where trains pass each other on the Mid-Norfolk Railway, seeing 41001 blast into the station with a train bound for Dereham. Now at Dereham, the locomotive is seen pulling into the station. At this point it was drawing a hell of a lot of crowds.
We packed away the slides. Yeah, because they kept blowing off.
Just found the curves on them.
Various HST parts were viewed in Old Oak Common Loco Depot. As seen, there is various Class 57s on jacks. The story of the 57 body snatchers starts with their predecessing locomotives of Class 47. Class 47 is a class of British Railway diesel-electric locomotive that was developed in the 1960s by Brush Traction. A total of 512 Class 47s were built at Crewe Works and Brush's Falcon Works, Loughborough, between 1962 and 1968, which made them the most numerous class of British mainline diesel locomotive. The locos were fitted with the Sulzer 12LDA28C twin bank 12-cylinder unit. They have worked passenger and freight trains on British railways for over 50 years. They started off with 4 character head code boxes, but this had a slight visual impairment for nighttime running. The locomotives were later fitted with light bulbs and then shortly followed by high intensity light in the 1980s. First batch of 47s, subclasses 0 to 3, were all fitted with steam heating equipment. However, subclasses 4 and upwards were all fitted with electric train heating. This changes the speed of the locomotive's idle to a faster soles a beat. This is due to the fact that it is using more power. Let's have a listen to a non-electric train heated Class 47 now, with 47367. See if you can notice the difference in the idle. Many modifications have been added to the Class 47 over the years. This could include a flush front and push-pull cables as fitted on the Class 47-7. The Class 57's body was identical to the Class 47, as shown here with the Class 57-0 in Freightliner livery gleaming eastly. This is where they got their nickname Body Snatchers. Like the Class 47s, they were built by Brush Traction of Loughborough, this time between 1998 and 2004. The locomotives were fitted with reconditioned EMD engines and the same model of traction alternator as that fitted to the Class 56. The locomotives were to be announced as successors of the Class 47, some 47s even being converted to members of the class. Class 57 we see here visiting the Mid-Norfolk Railway is a Class 57-3. The 57-3s were designed to help the Class 390 Pendolinos operate the North Wales coastline to Holyhead. This is where the front faces of the 57-3 were flushed off, and then a decliner coupling was added in order for them to connect to the Class 390s.
Seriously need to be modern cars with the old face, you've got an engine and everybody. Modern ones, well, laptops, you know, somebody had a car, they didn't kept going wrong. I think it took them like 2 or 3 months to fathom out what was up and then you get the software. Right, unless you go on Volkswagen.
Resin there. These are original. These make.
I'm sure we've seen the one that's already preserved and born out. Yes, we know. Thankyou.
The only non-static locomotive operating at Old Oak Common on today's event was number 93, a Great Western Railway steam rail motor. The rail motors were self-propelled carriages operated by the Great Western Railway in England and Wales from 1903 to 1935. They incorporated a steam locomotive within the body of the carriage. Number 93 was restored to working order in May 2011, and by June 2012, 93 was approved for mainline operation, even though the reintroduction of wooden-bodied vehicles had not been allowed for many years.
there you have it. Full of people.
As me and Simon made our way to London Liverpool Street to get our train home, we encountered some small issues.
Don't you just love it when this happens?
Yes, our train was cancelled, and this meant a reroute down to King's Cross.
Just our luck side, isn't it? Every time we go to a gala or something, it's always saying failing.
You can't rely on trains.
No.
You know what happens? You get a King's Cross right, and there won't be a Cambridge train to 4:15.
The next station is King's Cross St Pancras. This is an all-stations Metropolitan Line train to Uxbridge.
Our luck got better at King's Cross as we headed over to our train to Cambridge, and from Cambridge we'll head back to our starting location, which is that of Whittlesford Parkway. Our journey to Cambridge is taken by a newly refurbished Class 387.
So it appears it's resulted to us testing out the new 387.
Yeah, it wasn't on my prior things to do on a Saturday afternoon, but yeah, here we go.
It's an adventure.
Not.
Of course it is.
What's the free Wi-Fi?
The Class 387 Electrostar is an electric multiple unit built by Bombardier Transportation for Thameslink, now transferred to Great Northern, Gatwick Express, C2C and Great Western Railway, with the first delivered in December 2014. The 387s were sent out to replace the older units of Class 379 and 365s, operating from London to King's Lynn.
Oh, that's just been painted, hasn't it?
Welcome aboard this service to King's Lynn and Cambridge. The next station is Cambridge.
Nice.
As we got back to Cambridge, we weren't out of the trouble yet, as we missed our train back to Whittlesford Parkway. And we also missed the second train back to Whittlesford Parkway, meaning we had to wait around at Cambridge for a little while.
There's that one we should have got on that train just gone out there. That we missed. And the standstick one we're going to miss and all.
Look, it's spanned.
Huh?
Listen to it. Bing, bing, bing. Cambridge Station, Cambridge Station.
And we didn't expect to come here today, did we?
After about an hour's wait around at Cambridge, our train to Whittlesford finally arrived. And this is where we're going to end this episode of Railriders. We hope you've enjoyed it and that it will give you an inspiration to watch more episodes in this series. Goodbye for now.
Right, let's go and see some trains.
Good afternoon, lads and lasses. This is just a quick one, just to say a thank you, actually, as it happens. But basically, as some of you may know, that this episode could have been, well, the previous episode of Railriders, sorry, the North Norfolk one, could have been the last episode ever of the franchise completely, due to the fact that I had a hard drive corruption and could have lost nearly every single bit of work over the years of Railriders and Train Adventures. But thanks to my good friend Bartek Senskovsky, I have managed to, well, he has managed to restore our footage. So yes, a big thank you to him. He is the saviour of this franchise. It could have gone downhill, it could have been no more, and we couldn't have produced any more content, but thanks to him, we can now continue. So this is just literally a quick video just to say thank you so much to Bartek for saving the footage and that I can continue my life's work. So yeah, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the series so far, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.